back to the definition of wealth. More options, more freedom.
Right.
If you don't own, you don't have as many options.
This all day long, knowing that I can go sell that house and make $300,000 right now.
Promises and delivery. You put out all this content, you put out all this media, you make all these commercials.
Yeah, so the question is, so we were saying after the 3 C's.
No. You're like trying to package a talk.
Huh?
So after the 3 C's.
I'm saying after that, like, okay, let's just assume we've already gotten through that.
Someone has a
ready
property.
to go.
Okay.
Now they want to look.
They want to go look for property.
What are we looking for?
So they've credits above 620 at or above. Sure.
I mean, really 6, but okay.
Okay, 6. Make it easy. Get above a 6. You know, you follow
Probably
John Hope O'Brien. John Hope Bryant. You don't follow him?
follow Jesus.
Come on, man. Follow him on like social type of things, like to follow the content that he puts out.
Oh,
Because he's always like, there's a difference between 500 credit score and 700 credit score or something like that. He's like, the neighborhood we live in are like 500 credit score or something, or whatever. But it doesn't feel as big of a barrier to go from a 5 to a 6. You know, sometimes when you go, a 500 credit score, get up to a 700 credit score, it just feels like a bigger climb where you're like, well, you can get approved at 6. The interest rate won't be great, but you can keep working on it as you're building. And I think that's what makes it more accessible for people who feel like, man, real estate, everybody talks about real estate. I was just listening to this podcast with Steve Stout. You know who that is? He's like the guy. Why do I even ask? Anyways, the thing is, like, he got started and he got the money from his mom, but he started in real estate. You're just like, man, how do all these dudes learn about real estate so soon? He was 19. I'm just like, dog. So again, when we talk about that 18 and 22, like you're in college. I remember meeting a dude in college, Indian guy, who was like, he makes most of his money from real estate. And I had no idea what he was talking about. I was like, how? Like, where do you get that money from? You know?
So here's the cool part that I get excited about is like, and I'll tell you about my conversation that Lisa and I had with our oldest yesterday, very impromptu. But when you own things, you have to pass that information down in real time to your children. Right?
Why?
Like, why? Because that's the exposure that they need to one, want to know to follow in your footsteps, right? Or to want to do that and go beyond what you did. Two,
To know that they can follow in your footsteps.
know that they can and want to, right? Because kids normally want to, some form or fashion, kind of
do what you did.
do what you do, right?
I mean, again, for the life that you've afforded them at this point, when they just like, oh, we going to Europe, we flying. I mean, your kids are cultured just simply off that. Of course, they wouldn't call it that, but just, oh, I've been here. We've been to Europe. We've been to this country. We've been to that country. Oh, we've seen this part of the U.S. We've seen that part of the U.S. We've gone hiking. We've been to that national park, this national park. They just have stories and experiences that you can't. Again, that when they get to a point when they start sharing those stories with other people, it's going to be pretty clear that they and most others have lived a pretty different life.
Yes.
Like your kids have lived a very different life than I did when I was their age.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too. In a sense. But what I was saying was,
You should put your phone on Do Not Disturb.
What I was saying was,
It can't be if it's like actual moon signal. Do Not Disturb.
okay. When you own real estate,
Mm-hmm.
or let me just back up. Like, did your parents tell you all of the finances and the very personal,
No.
financial things going on in their relationship and your family?
No.
At any point in your life?
No.
That's a problem. Right? That is where this education really needs to be. It doesn't need to be James and Brandon teaching some kid in Kentucky about buying property and
Why'd you say Kentucky?
somewhere far away from here. That's all I was looking at. that just popped in my head.
Kentucky. I was like, Houston,
Kentucky,
Dallas,
man.
Alabama, South Carolina,
Hey,
Compton,
there's a lot of
something.
us in Kentucky.
You from South Central?
I am, but so
Kentucky.
I we were talking about this on our last conversation about people being so closed off about their personal information,
Yeah.
right? And it
I
even
mean, that's probably
goes,
like more like a trauma response, complex trauma, not like PTSD, but similar. Go ahead.
so all that to say, we had a conversation with Braylon yesterday. He just got home from school. Lisa and I were computers right next to each other.
Braylon is your oldest son.
Yeah, Braylon. And we're talking about some insurance situations that we're going through. And so he sits on the table.
Insurance situation.
Property insurance.
Property
Yeah.
insurance. Okay.
So he sits on the table and he's listening. And so I use that time, both Lisa and I, to kind of unpack, give a little backstory on what we're talking about, loop him into the conversation. Um, and it was really cool to see him engage
Mm-hmm.
and start asking questions about, the who, what, when, where, whys about what we're talking about.
What was the best question he asked?
Oh, you put me on the spot. What did he ask? I don't know. It'll come to me.
Okay.
I don't want to waste time. But that is one thing that.
Well, what was the insurance situation? Can you share it?
Sure.
What was the insurance
So
situation?
we have a property
Mm-hmm.
and we have a couple insurance situations.
You know, this is interesting. There's a big conversation going on right now that around the should you own or should you rent?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you know the guy? Have you heard of the guy Ramit? I Can Make You Rich. Have you heard of that guy? You got, why do I even ask? You're like, nope.
I'm just going to give you that look every time.
Stephen Graham. You know who that is. You do know who that is.
Maybe. The name sounds familiar.
Anyways, I'm saying that because there is a big conversation, at least around the internets, around should you buy, should you rent because interest rates are so high. Sometimes it isn't worth it. Don't buy. There's a lot of people probably just making content off the clickbait of saying don't buy. But you clearly still buy, are going to continue to buy. And so this is a good conversation for people to understand, or at least to have a clear picture, like be clearly exposed to the kinds of things that you'll be responsible for when you own.
Mm-hmm.
But regardless of such, even when I listen to that stuff about people saying don't buy, rent, I'm like, you just don't have control when you rent from someone else. The owner has control, right? So if they decide to sell, you got to go too. You can't just be like, no, I'm not ready to move. They're just like, it doesn't matter. I own the rights to do what I want with this property. So Go ahead.
And on top of that, there's no equity, there's no options, there's no, rolling up to another property. You
back
have
to the
none of those
definition
options.
back to the definition of wealth. More options, more freedom.
Right.
If you don't own, you don't have as many options. I'll say that, as many options. You probably have some, but you don't have as many. So that's
Yes. 100%. So this property, I'll give you the single family home version. So we have a single family home.
fair. So you've encountered this multiple times?
I have been encountering this more. Insurance has anyone who owns property, specifically like rental property, will be able to relate to what I'm saying, because insurance has been, what's the word I'm looking for? Just a lot more challenging in the last few years. Pricing has gone up like probably 60%.
That's crazy.
For no reason, or I can't say for no reason. I'm trying not to generalize, but
It feels like that though.
it feels like it, yeah. So single family home, 4-bed, 2-bath. And we got the house, we had it rented for probably 8 years.
Well,
And then we decided to
cash flowing.
Sure. We decided to put it up for sale. So we let the lease expire. We didn't renew them. They moved out. We started working on the inside to get it, show ready.
Mm-hmm.
We got it show ready. We started to get some showings. No one was there throughout the week. No one's living there, you know. So
Oh,
then
okay.
so then we had two really bad break-ins. One had to have been over.
What part of town was this?
This is in Phoenix,
Like downtown, south, north,
South.
west?
South.
Okay.
So the first wave
Mm-hmm.
was they basically broke open all the walls and took out a lot of the electrical wiring and all the copper wiring.
What in the world?
Just like literally I can walk from one room to the other because the whole wall was open. I just walk right through the studs.
Why do people do this?
They can recycle that for like a few dollars just to get high. You want the truth. Yeah.
Well, I mean, for the group, for the people who are like, don't buy rent. This is
Sure. I mean, I would take this all day long,
Sure.
knowing that I could go sell that house and make 300 grand right now. Right. So like,
and that would be the other groups.
exactly. So
Argument.
give
So
me
that's good.
break-ins all day long, versus renting and not having anything. So,
Right.
so the second wave, which was like a week after, so we
Mhm.
find out, we kind of like do our thing to secure the property, and then someone gets up on the roof and they do the same thing to the AC unit. Just
What in the
open it all up,
world?
rip it all open from the top panel, and they just rip and cut all the copper they can find. There's like copper coils and some other copper lines in there. Take it all out. Right. So
This is the silliest thing in the world to me. I'm just like,
oh no, this is
to go
happening
through
all day
all
long.
that trouble to just recycle for. I mean, I guess
I've got
I
lots
guess
of
that's what-
stories, bro.
Yeah.
One of my good buddies, he'll probably watch this. He is renting a industrial space.
Mhm.
He does manufacturing, commercial space.
Okay.
They have 7 AC units on the roof.
And
They would
people-
climb up on the weekends with like makeshift ladders, and they would do the same thing to all 7 AC units.
This is crazy. This
is
is
crazy.
absolutely nuts to me.
This is crazy.
I'm just like the people. This is crazy.
This is really like post-COVID stuff. That like
So
if
pre-COVID,
you-
this wasn't happening.
You heard of like if you know, you know. Like this is all property owner stuff we have to
Subculture.
deal with.
Yeah,
Subculture.
yeah.
Post-COVID. Pre-COVID,
You didn't
no.
really.
no.
That's interesting.
No, not at all. I can leave a property vacant for a month, 2 months.
Nothing.
Nothing.
But now it's just like people climbing and
Dude. Breaking in, breaking bars, breaking doors. I had another break-in Tuesday in Tucson. Found my manager walks in. I don't want to get on a rabbit, but I'm just telling my manager walks in and one's on the toilet and one's sleeping. And there's like food
they're
and
just
clothes.
squatting.
They're just squatting. They're just in there.
that's wild.
So like,
Hey, ownership subculture. You know.
yeah, okay.
So there's
So-
always something.
So let me get back to the point. So the
So
point,
now insurance. Insurance is to help mitigate some of the costs for some of that. Okay, go.
so what do you do? Most of the time, you're going to say, all right, I'm going to go file a claim, right? So I filed 2 claims. One's for the AC, one's for all the damage, for the, everything, got to put the whole house back together. Insurance is like, great, claim, here's your check, let us know when it's done. And we're like, great. Next thing we get, non-renewal. We don't want you anymore because
From the insurance
from
company.
the insurance company, because we're risk now. We're high risk. So now I have
Insurance is such a bro. I don't have very positive thoughts about insurance. It feels like a big racket. But go ahead.
from their perspective, it's like I pay out $70,000 on a claim,
Mm-hmm.
and you paid me, let's say, over 8 years, you may have paid me $80,000.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, I still made a little bit of money over that time frame, but now you're high risk. So if you get another claim,
now we're losing money.
Now we're losing money, right? You get that. So
And I get it, but still, I'm like, sure, but that's not what your marketing says. So this is my issue with,
or your balance sheet, they're making money hand over fist.
bro. I'm not even getting on that. I'm
Okay.
just saying promises and delivery. You put out all this content, you put out all this media, you make all these commercials about peace of mind. Anything goes wrong, you're in good hands. We'll take care of it. like a good neighbor,
Mm-hmm.
all that.
Mm-hmm.
And then the moment that, you say, hey, will you actually be a good neighbor? Hey, I need to be in good hands because, stuff is happening. Then they're writing you letters being like, hey, I know and they're not even saying that. They're just like, sorry to inform you that we no longer want to continue this relationship. I'm like, what kind of friendship? That's like that kind of business is what makes people hate it. That might be the nature of, the big conglomerates, but whatever. That's why I feel the way I feel about business done like that, especially insurance companies. But whatever, we can talk about
Very
it later.
well said. So
Hey, but if one of y'all insurance companies want to talk to me, we can figure out how to make that right. So figure it out.
they don't want to talk to you.
They don't.
Yeah.
But somebody might, we'll see.
So my point in all of this is that passing down that information, these experiences
Mm-hmm.
to my kids, I feel like is paramount
Mm-hmm.
because
It just normalizes it.
it normalizes it,
Mhm.
right? It normalizes it. So when it happens, not only do they know what to do, but they're like, this is just what it is. Let's just get through it. Let's move forward.
And it isn't surprising. The numbers aren't scary. They're not like, whoa, what? Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. I don't know what we're talking about. We were all
Insurance.
over the place. Well, I mean, I feel like I made the point. We got dropped. So now we have to get insurance for 3 times the amount we had before.
Oh,
Because no one else wants to pick us up because
you've had recent claims.
we have claims. Yep. And that takes about 5 years to roll off. So for 5 years, I have to pay triple the amount of insurance.
This is another tally on the side of like don't know.
It's like, we're not helping here.
Now, again, you have several properties. Like, in the grand scheme of things, this is a small percentage of, call it, the hassle you have to go through when it comes to ownership. But I think the thing that I think is always a strong case for any kind of independent endeavor is, again, risk reward. Obviously, there's more risk. You have stuff like this that can happen. And so you have to figure out, how am I going to cover this and maintain all of this? But the upside is way, way higher in the sense that you can sell a property and profit hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like, you can't do that when you're renting, or it'll take many, 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 many more years to do that if you're just W-2 alone, right? Unless you're bouncing around the country and then that's a risk in and of itself, right?
Yeah. So the question is, that makes sense from like a textbook perspective, but how do you actually get someone to feel like it really makes sense for them? Like, I'm going to take all this risk, tenants not paying, having to deal with evictions, squatting, vacant units, or, vandalism, municipalities changing rules, inflation, just costs going up in general. There are risks that come with it.
That's fair.
So how do we transition
Why should someone
that thought?
take that risk?
Why should someone take that risk? What do you think? I'll let you go first.
I'm not the expert. You're the expert. You do this all the time. Again, I already said
you speak different language than me. Like,
yeah, that's fair. But I mean, I'll summarize what you say. To me, it still goes back to options. So when I had the opportunity to buy the home I was in, it had a tenant in it. I wasn't ready to do it. And I was considering all the risks. And my big thing was, so the option was figure out how to buy the house that we're in that had a tenant in it and just make it work, or move to another neighborhood that had more expensive rent. And then anyone who's moved and if you've just moved houses, whether it's in college or anything, especially when you have kids, you got kids on the way, you just have stuff. Moving sucks. I had to move, again, the operation just from moving is terrible. I hate it. And just that impact itself, when an owner tells you, hey, I'm selling the house, y'all got to be out in X amount of days. You ain't never prepared for that. You ain't in your house one day thinking, hey, we chilling. We got a TV on the wall. We at home. We on our couch.
We about to have Thanksgiving.
All that. And then you get a call. It's like, hey, I've decided to sell the house, I kind of need you out within the next 30 to 60 days. And in 30 to 60 days, you got to figure out your whole entire life again. Where are we going to move? Where can we find something that's as good a deal? Because you've probably sort of like set your life around this budget. I have a fixed cost of rent plus bills, etc. Now you got to go find something else. Now the market is different. Prices have changed. All this stuff has happened, and that's just on you. And again, that might be able to happen if you're thinking, in the way that some of these other quote unquote financial experts will tell you. But in most cases, the average person is not. They want to live in a place and be there sustainably, or they want to have stability while they're there. And I think those two things, you have one, someone can't put you out. That's probably the biggest reason that I'd be like, buy the property. Because when you rent, you can get put out. That's just fact. And then two, there's just more stability in that. There are some things when we talked about this the last time. Have cash on hand, have some reserves so that if something happens, you're not just out. I think there's I don't know what the specific stat is, but a very, very high percentage, like over 70% of people can't afford if they had an emergency of over $400. If you buy a house, it's a good chance something's going to go out. So there is that aspect of it, but I'd prefer not to be put out versus have something that I could put off in the sense of like, oh, well, the bathroom isn't working the way we need it to work. We don't have to do all the repairs to fix it. We can just kind of, and everybody who owns a house knows about those things. Your house has those things that you're like, I should have fixed that, but I don't really want to right now. I'd rather use that money to do something else. You can do that when you own it. When it's rented, it's just like, you just don't have those options. You can get put out. You don't have the same kind of stability. So that's why I'd say, but again, you own dozens of these.
Okay, I'm deflecting again. I want you to talk to me about how when you were renting the house.
Yep.
And then were you managing that tenant at the time?
No.
So you had a neighbor, but you had no business dealings with that neighbor.
Nope.
Then you go from signing documents to now that is your tenant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was that scary?
No, only because here's what was interesting.
I'm trying to get some points over to the why buy side. So like,
sure. Wow. That's right. So when we initially rented the house, they were running the back as like an Airbnb.
Oh, okay.
So it was uncomfortable where random nights you would just have people walking in the back and you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And in every situation, you didn't always know. Again, this is renting. I didn't always know who that was, right? We're renting the front house. We technically don't have we have nothing to do with the back house because we don't own it. So they don't have to tell us. It's a courtesy for them to tell us like, hey, we have people, we're running an Airbnb on the back. People are coming on this day doing this, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And again, we knew the owners at the time. They were friends, but that communication didn't always come in. And so I'd be up, it might be 9 something, and then lights are pulling up in the driveway and somebody's walking in the back. And I'm like, that's a little freakish. So in the sense of like tally on the ownership side, it's like if I owned, like you can't just walk on my property. Now, when they rented it and found this long-term tenant, she was just kind, so when you see the same person coming in and out, you get to know them, you build a relationship, at least in the sense of like a cordial, hey, good morning. Mm-hmm. Hey, good to see you. Okay, now go in the house. She's going in the back. It's fine. So then when the house comes up for sale and they're like, hey, we'll give you first right of refusal, essentially. It's like, if you want it, we'll let you buy it. The tenant reached out to me. It was like, hey, just to let you know, we'd love to stay if you decide to purchase it. We don't mind just staying and then we'll just pay, rent to you. And that was just more incentive to purchase it because then the cost of that rent offsets the cost of the mortgage. And I'm paying less in mortgage than I was paying in rent just a few years ago,
It's like 4 tallies right there. You just
I agree.
Ding, 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 ding.
Again, that's what I'm saying. Like there are a lot more options and the equity that accumulates in the house when the market rises, again, you have more options in regards to like what you could do with that. But those are the things that made it that incentivized me to do that. While at the time, there was still pressure to say, no, I think we should go rent somewhere else because it's easier, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, I just can't see myself paying more rent for something that's not mine.
Mhm.
And that could, one, go up because rent can be increased on you. And then two, if something happens and they decide to sell, because the neighborhood that we would have moved in is like downtown, right? Not just under the stadium, but those property values are still higher, right? So they could just decide to sell, and then we have to move again, right? And then that would have been, had we had moved, we had twins soon after we bought the house, right? So we purchased in April 21. Our twins were born in October 21. Now imagine, in 22 or 23, the kids are, again, twins, are 2 years old, not potty trained. You've got two babies screaming. You're trying to figure all this stuff out. And then they go, hey, we're going to sell because the market was crazy back then. And they're like, hey, we think, it's just going to be good. It's in our best interest to sell. We hate to do this to you, but we want to give you a few months to, again, a few months is still generous. But when you have twins and
It's life.
my wife recovering and trying to figure out work and me trying to figure out work and all this movement, like 3 months might be generous, but no one wants to move in that scenario. You want stability, everything's good. Again, food in the fridge, like even simple stuff like that. You are not trying to move like that. You ain't trying to be put out when you're not ready to transition and take as much time as you want to make the transition. Again, so that to me, there are a lot more reasons to buy than to rent, even with some of the risks.
So tell me this: when you had that first conversation with the renter,
Yeah.
right, or the first couple, this was your first time being in that seat, right? Of like, I own this and I'm managing you as my tenant. Like, was that like smooth for you? Was it? Were you like, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to say? Like, how did you handle that? Obviously, now you've been doing it for a while, but like, just try to take me back to like that first couple of months of interactions with her, if you remember anything.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I had to figure out was drafting a lease. So like,
Okay.
needed to find lease documents, make sure that it had in it what was supposed to be in it. I mean, I'd worked in leasing before, like in college, and so I knew like I needed a lease agreement. I needed some sort of like contract. Then I reached out to friends. I talked to you, a buddy of mine, Andrew. Talked to him, and so like I just tried to find, a legitimate like
Contract.
standard contract that I could send so that it's just at least official, right? And that was the only thing that I was concerned about, because I wanted it to be simple enough that I could use it over and over again, and more straightforward. I didn't want to get something that felt like a bunch of legalese. Just like, hey, we already have a relationship. You're a trustworthy person. Let's just get something that's just standard, so we know like, hey, this is what we're gonna do. We've made adjustments. Typically people don't let pets in, but she takes very good care of the place. Like it's super clean, it stays clean, and we've had no problems.
Okay, and she's been there the whole time.
The whole time.
Okay, so you are a new landlord. Now, can you give like some words of wisdom, maybe just a tad, on like not being a landlord, and like, because people fear, right? They're like, I don't want to live next to my tenants. I don't want to live next to someone who I could potentially have
conflict with.
So, and you haven't. I don't know how much conflict you've had. None. So that is atypical, right? You're going to have.
I mean, conflict in the sense of something's wrong, like
there's some breach of contract, there's some non-payment, there's that those things happen. Like,
oh, we've had nothing major. I mean, like a payment's late on accident. Like, it's not like nothing's been intentional. Again, I think part of it has to do with the maturity of the tenant, and so there is. Again, I think this is things change when it grows, but I think you could probably build practices when it comes to how you vet a tenant. Again, I had the opportunity of knowing this person because I'd already been in the house, the front house. So I already kind of knew what it was like. But again, Ashley was there. Like I didn't know everything. And then, her husband came around, the dogs came around. Sometimes her kids stay there. But all of that was okay because of who she was and sort of like the character that she had. So I was cool making some of those adjustments. Whereas some people are just like, nah, let her by the law. This is, this and you, and you know, usually taken in that regard. And it's been fine. And again, it's separated. And so technically she has her own entrance because, again, we live in the front house and then she just goes to the backyard and then there's a walkway and the casita is sort of like back a little bit. So it feels like two different properties, almost like she lives on the other side of the street. So she could move about and we hardly would ever even know she's there.
I just had a thought.
What's that?
Well, you're like, it feels like she's across the street. I'm like, put her on my property. I feel like she's in another city. Like, for you to say that, I'm like, dude, she's right there. Like, feels so far away. Okay, tell me if this is going too far. So we're talking about homeownership. We're talking about ownership. We're talking about, creating options and freedom for yourself. So I oftentimes will talk to a tenant
Mm-hmm.
and I will ask them, like, can I help you buy a house so you can get out of here? Is that crazy? Like it's making my life a little, I wouldn't say harder, but like I have to go replace them.
Yeah. But if you have this sort of like pipeline and sort of like lead flow, deal flow, tenant flow, whatever, you have enough.
No.
Yeah, then that does sound a little crazy to me. To put someone out, well, let me say it in two
Bizarre.
ways.
There's our word again.
What?
Bizarre.
That is bizarre to me. Here's why. My thought would be if you can, I guess it can go in a bunch of different directions. In my mind, the thought is if it's not very difficult for someone else to come into to move in, then it makes sense to help someone move out, right? Because it's like, oh, well, people always need a place to stay. This is a great property. It's not going to take me very long to find a new tenant, especially if there are updates you want to make to the place. I think it's also really noble to say like, hey, and it's similar to like company cultures, to have a sort of like, to have the kind of ownership culture where somebody moves into your property, they don't know that they're moving into the property of an owner who wants to see them have as many options as he has.
Mm-hmm.
So there's almost baked into that is this relationship that says, hey, if you want it, I want to help you start to like get started on the path towards more freedom, more options, so that you don't feel like you're just in a rat race of rent and bills and utilities and hourly and paycheck to paycheck. That's super noble. The bizarre part is that, you try to get somebody to move out before finding someone to move in. That's almost like working hard, not working smart. Not knowing, again, from the outside looking in, not knowing. I'm sure there's more context to it, but that's just.
I just feel called, bro. That
That's fair too.
God's like, you got to be a good steward over what I gave you. And it's not just this property, it's these people too.
No, I agree.
Right?
But again, at the same time, you could still treat that as saying, again, it's almost like farm league. It's just like, no, I want people to rent, but the idea is rent for a period of time. And while you're here, it's almost like at that point, it becomes almost like a rental program. Where it's saying the people who come to live here, you could make it official, but the idea is when you move in and you meet me as the owner, I want to make something available to you to say, hey, if at any point you want to, take the steps to be able to buy your own property and then multiple properties and do the same thing, like I'm available. I want to teach those things. I would probably try to formalize that into an actual program course. And then those who rent maybe get a discount on that. You could turn it into a thing where it's like, oh, now it's an organization. And what we're trying to what we're trying to do again is bring wealth to more people so that they have more options, never feel like they are living paycheck to paycheck. And maybe even if they are in the beginning, you at least have a direct resource. You're like, oh, I live in a property where the owner is providing these resources. And again, there's like a direct sort of aspirational model to say, well, this person's doing it and they're doing these kind of deals and they have this kind of freedom. I try to text them when something's wrong. It's like, okay, I'll have my property manager take care of it. I'm in Europe right now, right? Most people, when they encounter something like that, it's like, oh, dang, I didn't know that kind of life was possible. But to like interface and be face to face with somebody who is living that life right in front of you, but then when you see them, they're in like a hoodie and a cap. That's not typically what you get. You get the typical blue button down, tucked in brown belt, navy shoes, brown shoes. Like that's the uniform. it's blues and browns, like navies and browns and sports coats, and maybe you get glasses. I mean, it's a uniform, right? And so then when they see you, or in my case, when my tenant sees me, it's just like, oh, that's not the case. And to bring wealth to more people like that, and then to create that kind of cycle, that's a much better and more virtuous cycle I think we could build.
So I was on a property inspection a couple weeks ago, property that we're buying. And my managers of another property, they usually do the walkthroughs with me. We got a whole system that we do. They had something come up. So I had to call in Lisa and say, hey, I need you to come step in. This is what I need you to do.
Lisa is your wife.
So first unit we go in, right? I'm walking through, I'm doing my thing. I'm with two of my guys. We're taking pictures. I'm pointing things out. Look at that, look at that, look at that. They're snapping pictures. Lisa's right behind me. Everything I'm saying, she's writing down, or typing or whatever. So that's how we move through efficiently. And so we kind of go out the back door. Lisa hangs out for a second because she's taking some notes, and the lady's talking to her, and the lady's like, I know you guys are buying this place. Can you please just let me know if I'm safe here? I don't want you guys to kick me out. Like please let me know if you're gonna kick me out so I can start preparing, right? And just that hit me to where like I don't think I'll ever forget that. And it's not the first time it happens.
Bro, I'm telling you, like owners out here be savage. Like it's just ones and zeros. Like everyone's a commodity. It's assets and liabilities. It's spreadsheets. Like I think a lot of business forgets that it's always a people thing first, not a product thing, not an inventory thing. And anytime money gets involved, it seems like people forget that there's a person on the other side of that transaction. And it, I can get into that for almost anything, but
that's one of the reasons why I started and went full time with Game Day, is because I know I was called to not only give good housing, but also to uplift people and give people opportunities where I'm able to give them opportunities.
So you were working for a, what do you call it? Investment firm?
Private equity company.
Private equity.
With.
You're working with, this is true, you're a partner. That's true. That's a good distinction, not for. So you're a partner at a private equity company and then decided to go independent and do your own thing for this reason.
Yes.
Between that time you going independent, what was the time frame between that and then when you had this conversation with this lady?
That was 4 years ago that I left. So 4 years.
So it was recently that this just happened.
This just happened like 2 weeks ago.
Oh snap!
Yeah,
I know that.
But it happens all the time. It's the most recent thing, so it's like right on my mind. But it happens all the time, and in my mind, I go, you're living under a slumlord, right? Like cabinets are falling off the wall. She's got holes in the ceiling, right? And to me, it's just like, the capitalist investor in me is like, cha-ching, right? Like I want all this crap
easy money,
in a good location. Like this is exactly what I want.
You're like, oh man,
but
gold mine.
But like, she's willing to go through all of that, live through that, right? Potential mold. Like I don't know all sorts of issues, right? But there's lots of issues to just have a place to stay. And I'm like,
Bro,
I want to
food,
get people to
shelter,
like,
like Maslow's hierarchy. That's basic. Can I get a roof over my head? I don't want to be rained on. Even if it's leaking, I can go to another part and not be rained. Like I
and
got a
that's what sets me
stable.
apart is because
Yeah,
I'm like, number one, we're gonna fix all that.
right.
But number two, it's like, can I do something to flip your mind a little,
Hmm.
right? To think and it's not for everybody, but just to think like, I'm worth more than this.
Yeah, but I think it is for everybody. That's my issue. I'm like, there is a way. This is probably what burns me up about how Christians do business often. That feels like the way business should be done, right? And especially, Christians who are in these spaces, there's no issue with making a bunch of money. That's not the issue, but always knowing like, oh, here's someone here made in the image of God who hasn't been treated well. They devalue themselves and be like, oh well, I know all the mistakes I've made, so I probably don't deserve to have a working kitchen or a basic roof, like holes, this, that. It's fine. That's what I deserve. I haven't been perfect. I'm like, nah. Like to 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 do that and then raise someone's value of themselves to go, it doesn't matter. Like you deserve a house that is safe and clean and like actually protects you from the elements and that you could build a family, or at least regardless of what's going on in your life, even if it's low, you feel like you have a place where you can come back and build yourself, get to health and then go and then thrive beyond that. Um, but to get to this place where people just get run over or, money, rules everything around you, I think that's what becomes a problem. And sometimes we get into business and forget some of those things. And so having more, call it righteous owners, like just better ownership in general, where, Christians come into the space, especially when you're young, and just go, develop habits and see what you're doing as taking care of people. Business, probably like business in general. I mean, most things are business. I don't think people like to call it that, but
Most
yeah,
things are business, yes.
everything is business technically. Like the idea of value exchange, like that's everything. Like when are you not trying to exchange value and want it to be mutually beneficial? Like everything in a sense, by definition, is business. It's a trade. This for that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And you just want the trade to work out for both sides. And the Bible's like outdo one another in honor. Right. It's just business today is like, well, my commitment isn't to you, it's to some shareholder, or to somebody who's giving me money because I'm obligated to give them a return.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, maybe that's one way to do it. But there are other ways to do it. And there are other ways to generate profit where people are still well taken care of. And I get to use those profits to make other changes because there is, in one sense or another, a battle or, forces out there that are trying to do things that aren't profitable for people. And more people who know how to turn a profit can use that to then fight against that and do business a different way that sees people get out of the rat race, that sees people get out of the paycheck to paycheck or predatory debt and that sort of thing, and then turn that life, raise the value of themselves and then start to, change the trajectory of their own life. So,
And so as we lead people to ownership and to becoming, first property investors right off the bat, because you have tenants, like as we lead people to that, I also want to lead people to being responsible landlords and owners, right?
yeah,
And sometimes that responsibility goes beyond or could cost you dollars, right? And or time, or it's not just this transactional relationship where I give you a unit and you give me money, right? And you follow the
I mean,
rules. I follow the
that's at
rules.
least the base layer.
That's the
of
base
it.
layer. But
It's
I'm
just
saying,
like that's just how the thing works. It's like somebody has to own it. Somebody's going to be renting it. That's how it works. But there's a verse. So Matthew 5, when it talks about loving your enemies, um, there's a part of it where Jesus says, if you only love those who love you, like
what is
what
love?
good
Yeah,
is that?
yeah.
Like what more are you doing than them? Like, don't even the Gentiles do that? So the idea of just doing business the way everybody does business, because that's just the way business is done. It's like Jesus would look at that and be like, yo, that's basic. Paul, read 1 Corinthians. he would go, "Why are you being merely human?" He goes, "There's like what we don't do the same way as others, right?" 1 Corinthians 9.
As
Some do it
believers.
exactly.
Yeah.
Some do it for a reward that's perishable, cash, coin, but we an imperishable. Like the thing that we're doing all this for, even if it's generating a bunch of profit, we're not doing it for the profit that will perish. We're doing it for a thing that's far more imperishable. And I think that's what it sounds like you're saying when you talk through like stuff like this.
Very well said. Thank you. Thank you. I will be quoting that, okay? As if I said it.
I would say, what's the first step for somebody? Again, this guy, Steve Stout, obviously, and this was like in, good gracious, 70s, 80s. I don't know how old he was. He said he's got started at 19. So you could start early. You started when you were, what, 24?
20.
20. There you go. 19 and 20.
I think so.
So my thought is always like, what's the first step? How does someone find the first property? Like, what should they look for? Is there a price range that they should look for? If 600 is all they need to get approved, what interest rate likely will that be? How much house should they, again, just a recommendation. Like if a 19-year-old came to you today, as like, all right, hey, I've been checking, I've been watching something, I saw this, or my parents told me about this. And so I tried to be frugal, or my parents said they'd give me a loan or whatever it is. And they're like, hey, I want to go and try to get my first property. What would you tell them to do?
So, you know me, first property, I'm automatically looking for 4 units for somebody. Like I want you to follow this plan.
Yeah.
Because
so where would they go? Like
best.
we're in Phoenix. So Phoenix greater area, maybe they're going to live in it. You would recommend, where would you advise they go? How much should they spend? Like, talk me through that process.
I would say look for something in the 100 to 150,000 a door range. So let's say on the high end, that's about 600,000.
Yep. On the low end, it's 4.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to find anything for 4.
Well, you said 100 to 150.
I did. I mean, okay. If it were 4, it would be a situation like I've had a bunch of times, and you had with your house. Like the owner,
mm-hmm.
They want to sell it. They can sell directly with you. They can save some money. They can save some time,
mm-hmm.
headache with the marketing and all that stuff. Not necessarily that, but just like if you have a connection to the seller, oftentimes you could get a better deal.
Yeah.
That has happened to me so many times.
For sure.
So those deals are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if
so you would tell them, hey, if you're in a position right now, you want to try to go get your first property, check your network and see if there's something that you can find there.
1,000%.
Okay.
Ask your parents, friends, teachers, whatever. It's like, hey, this is what I'm looking for. This is what I want to do. And oftentimes, you know how that goes.
How should they frame that question when they're asking their relatives or network or whatever? Like,
you're asking me for communication advice.
I mean, maybe not even that. At least to say like what needs to be in. Like again, I'm thinking like, all right, I'm 19. I want to buy my first place. I heard that one of the best options to do that is to see if I can find 4 units. Do you know someone who is it a multiplex or a fourplex? Like that's what I'm saying.
Here's the best.
What is it called in the when they're trying to get people to look out for them? Like what should they tell people to look out for?
Yo, Auntie Janice, I just got pre-qualified. I'm looking for a fourplex. Here's my price range.
Okay.
Boom.
There we go.
Like that shows you ready to go.
There you go.
And until you got to be able to say that to have the conversation. You can't just be talking to people like, oh, I'm thinking about doing this or that. No,
that's good.
Save that until you're ready to go.
See, that was communication. Clear, easy, straight to the point.
Thank you.
Got pre-qualified. I'm looking for a fourplex.
Thank you.
My price range is between 4 and 6.
Mm-hmm.
So you should probably just say that. If it's 100 to 150 a door, just be like, yo, between 4 and 6. How much wiggle? Well, it depends on the pre-qualification. So the pre-qualification would tell you.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can get pre-qualified for 6, when you're 19, can you? If you tell them you're trying to buy a fourplex?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
Okay. You just got to find, we'll talk about this then. If you're going to find your first property, where do you go? Do you go credit union? Do you go bank? Do you go FHA?
I told you, I got a guy.
Oh, you got a guy.
Just call me.
Just call
I got a guy. I got a guy. And I promise you, there's no kickback to me. It's just, I know you'll be in good hands.
Cool.
So, but
well, if they want to do that, how would they actually reach out to you? Is it Brandon at Game Day Real Estate? Is there a link? Is there like,
yeah, they can just email me, Brandon at GameDayRealEstate.com.
Okay.
It's probably best. You find me on Facebook, maybe.
Yeah, Brandon don't do IG and all that other stuff.
I'm working on that. I'm working on that. I had a conversation with my 12-year-old in the car this morning. Like, hey man, can you help me run my Instagram account? Because like,
you had
yes,
asked, oh yeah, they definitely
and
should.
my kids are like, Dad, you need to make videos like this. They're trying to give me, just tips on how to get kids to watch your stuff.
Tell them to, if they do the camera work and the editing, say like, sure, you run the camera, and then we could test.
They
some
do
things.
edits.
That's
they
fine.
have programs. They do the edits. So I'm like,
that's fine. I mean, AI will do a lot of the editing for you. You just got to record it, talk for a while, throw it in the AI. It'll chop it up for you, put the captions on it.
Oh dang.
Yeah.
Get that.
So they just need to like film you and just be like, hey, say what you got to say. Now, we've tried this before. You got to do some prep work to know what you want to say. But once you do it, then throw it into machine will spit you out some stuff. And then you can just pick out of that what you want to use.
Okay. So at $600,000.
Yep.
Okay. A 30-year loan. You need about 5% plus, I'd say you probably need about 35, 35, 40 grand. Okay. 30 is going to go to the down payment and closing costs, and then you need some money for reserves.
So 45. 40 to 45.
40 to 45.
All right.
Okay. Your mortgage with principal, so it's called
now, if
PITI.
you're doing 5%, that's like conventional, so you're probably going to a bank. That's not FHA.
No, I'm saying 5% total because you're going to have 3.5% down and you have closing costs and things like that.
Gotcha.
So you know what PITI is?
Principal, interest, tax, insurance.
There you go.
There we go.
Ding, 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 ding. So PITI is going to run you about 4150. Let's just round it up, 4,200.
Oh, the payment.
The payment.
Got you. On a $600,000 loan.
At 7%. So
man, at 7% is like
you can higher the credit, right? You could maybe get under 7.
Yeah. But if you've got a $4,100 loan, but you've got 4 units, then you could charge 15 for the 3 units, live in the 4th, and you're making 45 on a $4,100 payment and cash flow on like 300. So that's another tally for the ownership.
And even if, let's say you're only charging 12.
Sure. Yeah, 36, but you're only paying $600 a month on a $400,000 loan because most of it's getting paid for. That's easy. Like,
there you go.
I was paying that when I was in college and didn't have no money, like part-time working at Best Buy type stuff. You can, but again, $600 a month, and really when we say managing tenant, and this is a thing that I learned too, managing a tenant is really, it's just like, who are you? Because to me, it felt like, I just have to like maintain a relationship, be cordial. Hey, if you need anything, I'm right up here. If something goes wrong, I'm going to try to take care of it as soon as possible. If I don't take care of it as soon as possible, I still need to fix that toilet handle. Apologize and be like, hey, I know I'm a terrible person. I should have fixed that a long time ago. I'm going to get to it. You see what I'm saying? Like it doesn't have to turn. This is the thing about business. Business isn't this like mechanical situation where you have to like try to posture in some way like you have it all together. It's real people trying to take care of real people, and at the end of the day, if you behave that way, most people will understand, right? This goes back to like, if you have a mature tenant, they ain't trying to like sue you, or I feel like some of the fears that get thrown out there because of the idea of business makes people think that they have to do more than they actually have to. Be human, like be kind, and do unto others that you would have them do unto you. Like if you get that fourplex and you've got 3 tenants, whether 3 families, a mix, couple, single, family. I go, just be nice. I go like, do to them what you would want somebody to do to you if you were renting the spot, right? And the only difference is you have to pay a mortgage and collect payment from them. But I don't think any family wants to be put out. They're going to pay the rent, just like they're paying anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you have somewhat of a thwarted view of ownership because you've had like
My
the
view is
tenant-
anomalous. It's like I have a special case.
I,
Or I have like an ideal case.
yes, you have an ideal case, and you just haven't been battle tested yet because there's been one tenant. So
That's fair.
you go through, it's a numbers game, right? You go through more tenants, you'll kind of have,
I'll be more
understand.
seasoned.
Be more seasoned. And also, like, I can understand when people are like, I don't want to deal with tenants because it can be
Sure.
just a bear to deal with.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, if you're going to get, there's a part of it where it's like, this is what you signed up for.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is my life.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's like, there's a part of it where if a tenant's being belligerent, like an a-hole or whatever, yeah, but you would handle that. If anybody's being an a-hole, there's a way that you would handle it. Like if somebody's coming with a certain kind of energy, you gonna answer it. Now, again, we ain't the eye for an eye type, but there's a certain kind of energy you're gonna respond back to that versus somebody who's kind, respectful, And again, if they're not paying, etc., you're probably gonna extend more grace to them than somebody who's being belligerent. But at some point, you're gonna have to make a decision and say, hey, we have to have some conversations, but you're still approaching that in a way. I get the idea of being seasoned. I only have one. You've got dozens, if not hundreds, that I do get. But for people who, if this is going to be their first, I don't think the proper way to look into it is be scared. I think be wise, be informed. People are out there who won't pay or won't do things right. But again, and you told me this when I was sort of going back and forth as to whether I was going to buy this. You're like, people just want to have a place to stay and be left alone.
It's true.
That's the general idea. So if you're going into it and you do buy a 4, that means you want to find 3 people who just want a place to stay and want to be left alone. I go, you find people like that, get some help. Because if you do go to Auntie and say, hey, I got pre-qualified, I'm looking for a 4-plex, my range is between 400 and 600, and you get that, you're probably going to go to that same network and be like, hey, I got that 4-plex. I need to find people who can stay in it, and then get the kinfolk who will want a good place to stay and just pay rent.
Yep.
And what are you going to have to do with them? Be kind, show up, make sure things are taken care of because you own it. You would treat it like you own anything else. Like you got a new car, you want to keep it clean. Now you own a whole 4-plex, right? You probably want to keep it clean, right? So I'm more so speaking to that angle of it, not necessarily, pie in the sky, rose-colored glasses. Like I get people can be in words. So
I think the takeaways from today and what you just shared is don't be afraid to be a landlord. Just be human, treat them as if they're human, and communicate.
Yeah, I feel like, again, landlord sometimes feels like don't be afraid to own. It's yours. I mean, again, yes, you are a landlord, so like it is what it is. But sometimes
Also, landlord's like the person who works for the owner. Is that why you said that?
No.
I say landlord because being an owner is, to me, does not always mean you are interfacing with the tenants. But if you're a landlord, that's a term that everyone understands, that like you are actually interfacing with the people.
That's a good distinction.
So,
okay, don't be
because
afraid
you
to
could
be
be
a
an
landlord.
owner and have a property manager that's the landlord.
I would say
right?
this: bring for the people who feel a certain way about the term landlord, like be the person who reframes that feeling. Right? If landlord makes you feel a certain kind of way.
Oh, because it says Lord?
No, but because just the idea of a landlord, it just
I don't
like
know.
overlord, like it feels like something oppressive, right? It just
Oh.
does, right?
I didn't mean it like that.
I know you didn't. I'm just
Okay.
saying you got to understand the psychology of people. People feel a certain way towards terms, right?
So let's change the term. What do we?
You don't have to change a term. I'm saying certain terms can just be reframed if you behave differently as one.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so if you are a landlord, be one of the better landlords so that when somebody thinks landlord, they think better because they're thinking about you.
Because they have a good one.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. 100%.